Get the deals, my friends. Deals on wheels, wheels with deals, wheels of deals. Deals.
Just don't make me feel embarrassed. I'll have to hunt you down. So the Pacific mole crab is what we're referred to as the sand crab. Everybody calls it the sand crab. We see it on the beach, and the wave comes up, crashes on the beach, and the foamy white water comes up, and we call that the swash. And they live in the swash zone in the intertidal part of the beach. Now, intertidal means from the highest tide, where the water is at the highest tide, down to where it is at the lowest tide. And all that in between is called the intertidal zone. In there, where the waves break and the water rushes up the beach, is called the swash zone. And that's where you'll find the Pacific mole crabs. Seasonally, you'll find them on the beach where everybody is in the summertime. But often you go down in the wintertime and you don't find them there as much. You say, well, where did they go? Well, they don't migrate north and south or whatever, but they migrate with the waves. And in the wintertime on a sandy beach like this, we get a different form on the beach. It's called, I call it a winter beach, and it's also a wave-cut beach. So in the winter we get a lot more storms. The big waves come in and slap down hard on the beachfront, and with the power that the water has as it's moving back out, it drags a lot of sand with it. And it carries that sand out until the backwash loses its momentum, and then the sand falls out because the water is no longer forceful enough to keep it up. And then we get a sandbar offshore, and you've probably seen that. In front of this sandbar, there's what we call a moat, where the sand has been cut out, and then up above the highest reach of the waves, there's like a little bench where the impact of the wave has cut away. So you got the dry sandy beach, and then you have a little cut bench, and then it slopes down, and then there's a little moat where it dips down. A lot of times there's water in there even after the tide's gone further out, and then there's the sandbar. You can't always see the sandbar, but you can tell that it's there because there's waves are breaking on the outside of the sandbar now. And that's why the crabs have moved. They like to be in that area where the waves are breaking and that white foam is washing across. So in the wintertime, you almost have to go out there to find them. The reason they like to be in the swash is because they're feeding on phytoplanktons or other types of plankton that come in with the waves. So they want to be out there where the waves are breaking. That's a rich source of food for them. In the summertime, the gentler waves, the sandbar gradually erodes and the sand is brought back in and smooths the front, makes it a more gradual slope on the sandy beach. And now the mole crabs will return to that part of the beach. You might be aware that they burrow very fast. People are frustrated trying to catch them sometimes. They say, oh, those little bubbles, that's where the crabs are going down. And so they run over and they try to dig. The sand crabs are very fast burrowers. And they actually, you might be interested to know that they burrow backwards. So they'll use their legs and their head is up. The reason they want to do that is because they'll just go deep enough in the sand to where their antennae are sticking out. And they have two types of antennae that are sticking out. One is a very feather-like structure, and that's the one they use to filter feed the plankton out of the swash as it washes over. But when you go and try to catch them and you start digging, they feel your presence there, and they'll go deeper to get away from you. So if you want to catch them, you need something to scoop with. So you'd be real quick. You get a bucket or something and quickly scoop up as much as you can, get some depth, and you usually come up with a bunch of crabs when you do that. So that's their habitat. You find them along the coast all the way from Alaska to Baja California, and then they jump over the tropics, and you'll see them again in northern South America and pretty much all the way down along the Chilean coast. Apparently it's too warm for them, I guess, in the tropics, and so we don't find them there. Um, They're an important part of the food web on those beaches. They are the primary herbivores on the beach, and so they're feeding on the plankton, particularly the phytoplanktons. And then there's a lot of other organisms that feed on the sand crabs, so they're a key role in the food web. You see lots of different kinds of marine birds feeding on them. You got sanderlings, sandpipers, willets, curlews, godwits, all these different size wading birds that feed along the beach. Again, you see more of those guys out there at different times of the year too. So they're really important to all those. They also are fed on by surf perch and another type of larger fish called corbina, which is kind of fun. If you see it, corbina can get pretty big, and they'll come in chasing sand crabs in the swash zone, and their backs will be out of the water, and so you see them swimming around rapidly chasing sand crabs in the swash zone. The Pacific mole crab's also a food source for another larger type of crab that lives in the same general area, but that one actually feeds on the dead Pacific mole crabs that kind of are washed out. One of the reasons why you want to monitor them is because of their crucial point in the food web. We can see how well, it's an indicator of how well the whole ecosystem is doing. Is this population doing well? Then maybe that's a good sign for the whole ecosystem. If there's starting to be a problem with the population of mole crabs, then maybe that's a precursor to some other larger systemic problem in the ecosystem. They also tend to carry a parasite type of worm that gets into the larger animals that they eat. So some of the fish that eat them can get this internal parasite. Even sea otters have succumbed to infestations of that parasite. It's typically not going to be such a problem. We think, well, we eat some of those perch, we might catch the perch and eat them, but we cook our fish usually. So that's one of the reasons why it's good that we cook our fish, and so that I don't know if they would be able to infect us, but they do. Those worms are carried by the mole crab, and they do get into some of the predators of the mole crabs. So this is Mr. Ruth right here. He wants to come in and put in his 2 cents worth.
Yes. I like this. I'm so slow.
I guess the parting piece of wisdom is little kids sometimes want to catch the crabs and take them home, and they don't survive, so don't do that. They need to be in that swash zone down at the beach. They're not going to survive in your aquarium. You don't have the phytoplankton population or the beach or the wave action. So unless you want to build a great big wave tank, which is a really cool thing. Have you ever seen a wave tank? I have one at the Cabrillo Marine Aquarium, I think, and San Pedro, and the Monterey Bay Aquarium has a wave tank. They're really cool. You can set up the whole habitat, and then you can have pet mole crabs, but otherwise it's not going to work.